Agent. Thank you. Good. Well, greetings, everyone who is here with us, and greetings to all those who will be watching our YouTube channel as we share these on our YouTube channel. And so, welcome. The date is the 14th of December, 2024. We are now close to the end of this year. And today, Saturday, the 14th, is just one of those days where we meet as brothers and sisters to discuss the state of our continent with respect to the total liberation, total unification, and the total development of Africa, our homeland. And we discuss, we try to anyway, alternatively, discuss economics or political economy and politics. In other words, we have split political economy into politics and economics, and we discuss them in turn. In the last few weeks, in the last at least 3 weeks, we have focused on economics, specifically on blockchain technology, on the possible use of blockchain technology as a way of liberating us through the use of the new forms of money. And that's what we discussed at length. We even had a presentation from a leading progressive organization called the Ancient Society, and they presented to us, in fact, they presented to us not just on blockchain technology, but on how they have developed blockchain technology and other things in order to assist Africa to move forward. So we are very, very pleased. Now, we have in our midst also our own brother. We call him Ras Pala, but we call him General Anunnaki because he uses the ancient African name Anunnaki. And Brother Anunnaki is an expert on the traditions of the Dogon people. Now, the Dogon people, I don't know if you know, in fact, they are unique because it is common knowledge that they hold astrological knowledge that is impossible in modern terms without advanced technology. Because the stars that they know are stars that could not have been known at the time that they knew them. So what this means is that the Dogon people, some believe they were part of those who observed the stars for thousands of years, and that when ancient Egypt fell, they moved south or they moved west. Some believe that. But Brother Naki will explain everything to us. Anyway, the point is that the Dogon people are known to have access to this knowledge. Now, let's remember that the Zulu nation in South Africa itself, if you look into their origin, they also say that they come from the stars. And from what I understand, the word Zulu itself, again, Brother Anunnaki will explain, the word Zulu itself is to do with people who come from the stars. We know that science itself has confirmed that that the matter we are made of come from the middle of stars anyway. In other words, we are part of the cosmic system. So Brother Anunnaki has been with us from the beginning. He has confirmed that conscientism, which is the philosophy and the ideology of the progressive tradition of Pan-Africanism out of the three traditions, that is the liberal tradition, the conservative tradition, and the progressive tradition that Nkrumah stands for. That progressive tradition has its main text, which is consensusism. And our brother Anunnaki has confirmed that that text is credible, that he has affirmed its correctness for waging the war for liberation, unification, and development. And Brother Naki has promised us, he has done this several times, that he is happy to present to us on this ancient knowledge. And so he's going to do that today, and we are very pleased to have him. And I might just add that one of the challenges to spurious pseudoscience of the West, which said that you could measure the size of people's brains and tell they are hereditary in terms of whether they were intelligent or not, and all those that the Nazis practiced, all that were basically shown to be false by their own scientists, the biological scientists, the geneticists. They are those who have argued that all that was false. And one of the arguments that consensusism has made is that we all come from the same matter. And that is why it is not true to say that there are more than one human race. The entire human race species come from the same origin, and that is the black woman. The black woman is the origin of the entire human race. Whatever they are colored now, because of the environment, that is where they've come from. But our general here wants to shed more light on the origin of the human race. And by the human race here, I'm using it in terms, the word hue meaning color, and man meaning the man that has color. So human literally means the man whose skin has color in it. As you know, there's no such thing as a white race. Yeah, it's all just not true, because if you look at their skin, it's not white. It's all part of the racist ideology to say that there's a black race and a white race and a red race and a yellow race. All that is scientific nonsense. So we have our brother Anunnaki, who is going to share with us some very deep truths. And so please sit back in your chairs and enjoy. Brother Anunnaki, over to you, sir.
Give thanks, my elder. Give thanks, my African family, everyone. So even the diaspora, everywhere, we are one family. As wonderfully as Elder Christian has said just now, he said it's the way he has explained it to be. So my duty is simple. It's just to explain in the most simplest form possible, so that all of us can be able to at least have an apprehension of what our ancestors have left for us as our inheritance and as our tool to survive this coming calamity. Okay, so I'm gonna deal with three main topics, which is the history of the Dogon people, history of the Egyptian Empire, and history of the Sumerian Empire. So that will be 10 minutes. Okay, let's start with the history of the Dogon people. The Dogon people, they are Bantu people who escaped during the fall of Egypt. They are predominantly the priests of the ancient Egypt society. They were given the sacred knowledge of the Shem Zuhor, which is an ancient knowledge which is known in the Ethiopian languages called Nuwabu, which is the African spiritual science, highest form of science, as we Rasta call it. So they were given this sacred knowledge of priesthood and the original knowledge of the origins of African people. So this is like 2,300 years ago when the sea people, the Hyksos, the Hittites, and the modern Iranians, and they invaded Egypt, and it fell, its central government. And so various tribes had to run, including the so-called Nguni people and the Tswana people and all the other Bantu people who are in the southern hemisphere of Africa, the Shona, etc. They all were coming from the well-developed so-called mega cities, which were built by the blacks and which were predominantly on the Nile River. So 2,300 years ago, they established themselves in the central Mali mountainous terrain, defending against the Muslim Christian incursions, preserving their original African culture, our original African culture. And then the Dogon carried the Nuap knowledge, as I previously said. This knowledge contains topics such as the star system of Sirius, which is a multi-solar system, which consists of the Sirius A, which is the central solar star in that system, which is surrounded by Patolo, as they call it in the Dogon, which is known by the scientist Sirius B, and Emayatolo, which is the Sirius C, which is the third star, which is orbiting around Sirius A. So, and then even in our Pevmos, also numerology, and even as we go into the numerology, which is one of the topics I believe we will talk about some other time, we find that the number 23 is the number of Sirius, which is a resonant number of 23, which is the same number we found on Psalms 23 in the Bible. Because we must understand that the Bible is a collection of the books of the history and stories of the ancient black gods or the ancient ancestors who civilized the whole planet. So Jupiter, they also had knowledge about Jupiter having many moons. They had knowledge of Saturn having a ring, sorry. And they had extensive knowledge about the so-called Orion's belt. In fact, they had maps of the constellations, more especially the Canis Major constellation, which is the one which is most important in the Dogon culture, which contains this dog star, aka Sirius A. And then also we move on to the Nomo. The Nomo is known by the Dogon to be the extraterrestrials from the Sirius solar system. You see? And then Ama is a being known as the creator god who created the human beings and civilization. This is according to the traditions and the traditional African history stories of the Dogon people who say that the gods that they venerate are called the Nomo, which are extraterrestrial beings that come from another solar system who came here on Earth to terraform the Earth and created humans. And so they are the descendants of these beings. We'll move along now to the history of the Egyptian Empire. I'm just moving along so that we can have time even for some questions. So in the history of the Egyptian Empire, we deal with Ptah. In Egyptian, we have the entities called the Neteru. Neteru, which is another meaning for the Watchers, which is the same Anunnaki, ancient ancestors of Africa. One of the chief scientists of these ancient ancestors is called Enki in the Sumerian and texts, but in the Egyptian text is known as Ptah. Ptah, sorry. And Ptah, being the builder and the creator of the humans, the creator god, chief scientist, he established the Egyptian empire plus minus 300,000 years ago. And a lot of weather patterns happened, but there won't be time for me to put them into detail. The Holocene, the Holocene, the Ice Age, all of these, they fall under these these drastic weather patterns that happened in these years ever since the Anunnaki landed on Earth. But where I'll fast forward to 10,000 years ago, whereby they re-established the Egyptian empire. Because you must understand, after 10,000 years ago, there was the ice age, and then there was the Younger Dryas, and then in that area of the Younger Dryas and the ice age is that area where the flood came, aka the flood of Noah in the Bible. You see, that's where it came because the ice caps from the Antarctica, they melted because of the drastic weather changing patterns. And this melting resulted in a massive flood on Earth, you see. So now, with Ptah, the creator god, felt pity because the so-called Noah in the Bible, which was one of his descendants from one of his concubines, he felt pity for him and he gave him plans to build a submarine to survive the flood. So yeah, that's where we get the flood story. So now we find now in the re-establishment of the Egyptian empire after 10,000 years ago, the Great Pyramids were built. The Great Pyramids, as we know, are megalithic structures which are not graveyards for our ancient ancestors called the mummies there. No, they are ancient beacon centers, also energy centers like nuclear power stations, for a lack of a better term. These pyramids were guiding beacons for the big spaceships of the Anunnaki, which is the ancient African ancestors that came here on Earth. And so they used these great pyramids as landing beacons. And the landing site of the big spaceships was in the place today called Lebanon, the place where Israelis are taking today. That place, where especially in the area of Damascus, there's a big heritage site there called Baalbek. So that place, Baalbek, where there's like huge slabs of stones that can weigh up to 85 tons each slab. So that big stones, flat stones, were landing platforms for these big spaceships of the Anunnaki. And there in that side of the River Nile was the beacon centers to guide these ships. And then in that place of Mount Sinai or Tilmun, which is the place between Egypt and Israel and Jordan and them, which is in between that Red Sea. That place was a place where the ships were launching out to space. But okay, that was the main role of the pyramids. And then the Sphinx. The Sphinx if you can look at the Sphinx, the position that the Sphinx is seated is facing towards the east, which is facing towards the gates of the spaceships, which is facing towards the direction of Lebanon and Talmud, where the spaceships of our ancient ancestors would fly out of Earth. And the face of the Sphinx was none other than the descendant of the master scientist himself, Ptah, which was Tehudi. The Greeks called him Hermes or Thoth. So this is the son of Ptah. So his face was put on the Sphinx, that big cat with the human-like face. That face there is the face of Thoth, Tehuti, the son of Ptah, with a big nose and big lips. And Napoleon got jealous. They shot down the nose because it had a Negro nose, the nose of the one and only Thoth, which is in the Sumerian known as Ningishzida. Now we're moving along to the Pyramid Wars. The Pyramid Wars basically were the clash between the Enki, with Enki and his descendants of Africa, and his brother Enlil and his descendants who ruled the so-called Middle East. But these are the topics we'll talk about some other time because of time now. And then there's the Olmec establishment. We're still under the subheading of the history of Egyptian empire, where the Dogon came from. And then after the Pyramid Wars, we have the Olmec establishment, 3113 BCE, which is like 3100 years ago. That's when Thoth or Tahuti or Ningishzida had a fight with his brother Ra, or aka Marduk, which is the firstborn of Ptah. They had a fight of rulership over Egypt. And so Thoth decided to take his followers and establish himself in South America. So we know now that Black people were not there in America during the time of Columbus, but Black people were in America thousands of years ago. So yeah. And then we have the fall of Egypt, which is 332 BCE, which is about 2,300 years ago. So after this fall of Egypt, that's when the different clans of these Anunnaki or the African ancient people started to run from different angles. And that's where the Dogon people, one of these people, ran into the West Africa. Now, the Sumerian Empire, before I close, under the Sumerian Empire, what we need to understand is that when our ancestors came on Earth, they came also on Earth 445,000 years ago. So when they came here on Earth, they came here on a main mission to mine gold, monatomic gold, to be more specific, to repair our home planet, Nibiru, Planet X. If you want to know about this planet, you can Google it. Not just write NASA, Planet X. So that's the home planet of the Black people. So that home planet needed to be repaired. And so Anu, King of Kings, which is the ruler of our home planet, the Almighty Father, as we call him in our faiths, sent his firstborn son, which is Enki, aka Ptah, which is the creator god of Egypt again, to come on Earth and survey whether is there really gold, and only to find out, yes, there was gold. And they started mining the gold in the area of the Persian Gulf, Middle East. And then they established the first city, which is the city of Eridu. So Eridu is like the first city in the world to ever be built. That's more than 300,000 years ago. So the Sumerian Empire and the Egyptian Empire were established more like on the same time period, but different brothers were the rulers of this city. In the Egyptian Empire, Ptah and his sons were the rulers of Egypt, which is the land of Africa. The African continent was ruled by Ptah and his descendants, Ra, Thoth, Negal, Dumuzi, all of them, up to the southern hemisphere. I think Negal was the king of the southern hemisphere, and Dumuzi was the king of the Congo area, so in essence. And then we had the other family, which is the younger brother of Enki, Enlil. Now, Enlil had also sons, Inanna and Utu and a lot of gods, you see, who had cities in the Middle East, you see. And then also we had Inanna, who was one of the Anunnaki descendants, was a woman. In the Bible, they call her the Queen of Sheba. So she owned the land of India. So the whole area of India was called the Indus Valley. It was owned by Inanna. So the Indians were basically subjects of Inanna. And then, so these were the different regions from different brothers and sisters of the same King of Kings or the Almighty God, Anu. So we move along. We're still talking about the history of the Sumerian Empire. And then the first civilization was started in the Sumerian Empire. So even if you can look in the Bible, basically the Bible, most of the scenarios in the Bible are based in the Middle East area, where Enlil, the brother of Ptah, had rulership over. Even for us people who read the Bible almost every day, you see Abraham, his father was Terah, who was born in the city of Ur. The city of Ur is like 30 kilometers away from the city of Eridu, the first city of the world. Like in today, they call it Basra. They're in Iraq, that city there. So those are the cities where Abraham was born. So we can see now that Abraham, the gods, because now we can find that the gods in the Bible is in plural form, is not just one God. You see, we're finding out now. Hence in Genesis where they say, let us create man in our own image. It was not just one entity. There were different entities there in that scenario, creating the human, Adam. So we find out that in this plural God, Abraham was interacting with more than just one so-called God or one ancient African entity who or she was sending Abraham to different missions and stuff, which was related part of the pyramid wars I mentioned under the history of the Egyptian Empire, which is the same I said we're going to talk about in later stages, the pyramid wars. So the pyramid wars involves the fall of Jericho. It involves the fall of Jerusalem. In fact, all the wars, even the wars of Sodom and Gomorrah, are the wars of the Anunnaki, which is our ancient ancestors. As a matter of fact, the deserts in Africa and in the Middle East are not natural, but they are nuclear fallouts because when our ancestors fought, they used nuclear weapons against each other. So that is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So the deserts are nuclear fallouts. They are not natural. So we move to the last sub-heading, which is the Bible scenario, the one I'm talking about just now, where I'm saying that all the stories in the Bible, in fact, all books you can read about the history is the history of Africa, even if it's Asian history, even if it's European history, even if it's South American history, Australian history, is history of African history, because we are finding out now that since one of our ancestors was the creator of the humans, that makes us Africans descendants of the creator gods, not the created. So that means when God said, let us create man in our own image, we as the African people, doesn't matter whether you're from the diaspora or from where, but we as the African people, by that time when God said, let us create man in our own image, we were already existing as the African people. And so now we can see now where we get Homo sapiens. we can see now how the Homo sapiens came to be on this earth 200,000 years ago. We find out that these Homo sapiens are actually the Adam we are talking about in the Bible, you see, and that the African man is modern man, an extraterrestrial, not a Homo sapien. So that is basically the presentation I had based on the history and the philosophy and the African tradition of the Dogon people, which are Bantu people in North Africa, in Mali. And this is the history I just gave you. And I gave you the history of where they come from, which is Egypt. And I gave you the history of how Egypt was created, who created Egypt. So I think now can be the time for any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, brother Anunnaki, General Anunnaki, brother Raspala. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate you so much because you've been one of the very dedicated members who attends our classes both on Saturdays, on Thursdays and Saturdays. On Thursdays, you share perspectives with us on the philosophy, and then on Saturdays, you also share with us. And one of the things that has fascinated me about your deep knowledge was the fact that when when people thought Kamala Harris would win the election, you had predicted in our WhatsApp group that Trump would win the election, and you explained why, and you put it on record. And the evidence shows that Trump won convincingly amongst all groups, both men and women in America. So so I I was convinced that you had access to to deep knowledge that some of us do not necessarily have access to. So I know you've been wanting to do this presentation for us for a long time now. So thank you for sharing it with us. And as you said, you will also be presenting more to us. So thank you very much for your kind of overarching presentation today. So brothers and sisters, you've heard it from our brother, our expert. He is the only one amongst us who has this knowledge, and so he's also like our resource person when it comes to ancient African history. So when the book the Africa, the Origin of Civilization, True or False, when it was first published, the author argued that the evidence that he used to argue came from the West itself. For those of you who know the history, a lot of our manuscripts were stolen and taken to the West. So a lot of the museums and libraries in the West contain a lot of our African ancient manuscripts. So he argued that that is where he got his evidence from. And when some of us read that book as young people, it just blew our mind. The idea that Africa is the origin of civilization was something that we were never taught when we were in school. I mean, I attended school in Ghana, and nobody told me that our ancestors originated civilization. Certainly, we were not told. It was when we came to the West that our eyes were opened. In fact, some of us didn't even know that we were black until we came to Europe. It's interesting. I was listening to our sister from Nigeria, who was saying that she didn't know that in fact, she didn't realized she was also black until she went to America. Very, very interesting. Anyway, so we heard our brother. So the floor is now open for discussion. It's 6:44 Accra time and also UK time. Please, if you have any questions, let's ask our brother General. And then once those questions have been asked and clarified, then we can go to the discussion proper, where you can share your thoughts and so on and so forth. So I will ask my question later. So we'll open the floor. Let's see if there are any hands up. There are no hands up. So I'll just go through the lists and ask you if you have a question. If you don't, I'll move to the next person. So let's start with our own brother Pigeon, who as we know is very dear to us. Transformed our study group when he joined us, and has made a lot of things happen for us. And we love him very much. He's based in Kenya. And so Brother Pigeon will, if he has a question, ask his first question, and I will take it from there. Brother Pigeon.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Kwame and Brother Raspal. I think to me, in relation to our struggle for liberation, unification, and development, probably one of the key things coming out from the Dogon people and the history is us knowing our origin and our true history and our true origin. And I think that history should play a very vital role in us reacting or acting towards this neo-colonial or whatever struggles we ever had. Because if we are not sure of who we are, if we don't know really who we are and how powerful we are or how great we are, we might be more fearful of the forces you're meeting today, as we have come across people saying, oh, if you go against the West, they will kill you, oh, we fear dying, oh, somebody, you see. So all this is actually becoming something that I think we need to embrace and understand. But my question is, I've read about and gone through the Dogon history since we raised it. In fact, in our Pan-African library, just today, I shared almost 2 books on the Dogon history, including the history of Egypt is available in our library, including the Sumerian is talking about, and the Voodoo and Hoodoo. All those have been shared in our Pan-African library, which I will encourage people to join actually to have access to these books that I do share. But this understanding of series A, B, and C, which actually the scientists are still struggling to understand and accept, it shows that these people must actually have the connection that is what you are saying, they came from the sky to give the knowledge to the Dogon people that they have been passing down. Because the scientists come later to discover, and they say they discover. They discover what already was known by our people before. So, Brother Raspala, I think it confirms what you're saying, because people are struggling to understand even what Dogons knew before the scientists came in. And I don't know if they know if they know now the end, or there's no end in these struggles, this life. Probably can share to us, do they know the future we are taking as a people? Or they were revealed too as African people on the continent, especially the struggle for liberation and unification. They have a foresight where we will unite and liberate it fully.
Thank you. So just to be clear, brother Pigeon. So your question is based on his presentation. What does the ancient knowledge tell us about where we are going? Is that where Africa is going? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, I'll be interested to hear that, if he has that knowledge from the Dogon. Or we go sit with the Dogons and consult. We can have an appointment.
Okay, thank you very much. So Brother General, get ready to answer the question. It was Sheikh Anta Diop of Senegal that wrote the book, The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality. And what we have heard from Brother Raspala is that he is confirming that indeed the Africans, or the ancient Africans, if you like, are the origin of civilization on this planet. And to know that is important. Let me make a few comments, and then Brother Raspala can answer Brother Pigeon's question. It was the founder of apartheid in South Africa. Trying to remember his name now. He said that the African is like an elephant. What we must do is to prevent him from knowing that he is an elephant. Because the day he knows he's an elephant, he will walk all over us in South Africa. So this is the one who created apartheid. This is what he says about the Africans. And that means that they have access to knowledge that they hid from ordinary South Africans. The other person is a Ghanaian who was called Dr. Agri. And he said that we were eagles brought up as chickens, and that if the eagle is brought up by a chicken, the eagle will think it's a chicken and will walk and talk like a chicken until somebody reveals to the eagle that it is an eagle, and it will say, "Fly, eagle, fly," and then suddenly the eagle will start flying. And we all know that eagles are one of the most powerful birds. Some of them can see, miles and miles. They can see Earth from not hundreds, but lots of kilometers. And their eyesight is one of the sharpest on this planet. Anyway, Brother Raspala, the question is, can we foretell or do the Dogon? Does that knowledge that you shared, does it say anything about where Africa is going? Thank you.
Give thanks, my elder. That's it. Thanks for the word and for everything. Yes. Okay, I answer that question, man. Okay, son of the lake. Okay, no, my brother, man, according to what we have researched so far, this other institute, called the Rastafari Mystery School, we find out that as Elder Kwame has exclaimed, that issue of Kamala Harris, how I knew Trump was going to win, etc., etc. Well, these gods we are talking about of the Bible, or any gods we are talking about, these African gods, our so-called ancestors, are actually still alive, you see. They are not dead people. And from what we hear in the Book of Enoch, which is one of the books that were removed from the New International Version of the Bible, we find out that these gods, more especially the gods of Egypt and all of these civilizations, it's the same people, different names, and that they are there sitting around in the moon base. We hear now that the moon actually has infrastructure there owned by our African ancestors. And so we can see this play out even in the cartoons, that cartoon from Marvel Comics, DC, where the Justice League, Batman, Superman, and them, they have a watchtower on the moon. Yeah, so that story is taken from the story of our African ancestors, what they actually have, or what kind of technology they are utilizing. So with this technology they have, my brother, we heard that it said that Trump was put by our ancestors to delay the white New World Order agenda. So that for these 4 years of the Trump era destruction, we, the African people of the world, must get ready, fix our survival kits, organize and centralize ourselves, for the great calamity is coming. What is the great calamity? The great calamity is what the COP28 is always meeting about and is not sharing with the mainstream media. that this so-called global warming is not caused by carbon dioxide or the pollution of Earth, but is actually caused by the coming of the planet of the black people around the atmosphere of Earth, and the magnetic field of the planet Nibiru, aka Planet X, is more strong than the magnetic field of planet Earth. And the planet X, which is the planet of the black people, is much bigger in size than planet Earth. So when this planet is going to pass by, because it passes by Earth every 3,600 years, as we see from the Dogon history. So when this planet is going to pass by, it's going to cause a havoc on Earth, gains, you name it. So that's why Elon Musk and them, they are building bunkers, talking about going to Mars. It's just a distraction. They cannot leave Earth. They can only hide underground the mountain. So yeah, my brother, that's what I can tell you so far, that it is already being said that we as the black people must get ready to survive this great calamity, which is going to happen. It's like 6 years from now. Maybe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we've heard from Brother Raspala in answer to the question from Brother Pigeon. Next is Brother Ndlovu. Brother Ndlovu, do you have a question for our brother?
Greetings. No, I think I don't have a question, but just an appreciation with the knowledge. I've understood a bit of history about the Sumerians. I've understood the Egyptology. I actually never had and studied the Dogon people, so it's such a knowledge for me. So I'm keen to know more, actually.
Yeah.
So I just commit that I need to study and research that element.
Yeah, no, thank you. So as someone also who went to university to study mathematics education and to, yeah, interesting, it was in university that I was introduced to the mathematics of our ancestors. You will not believe this, but that is true. And that's when I got to know, for example, the oldest mathematical artifact that the West holds is from Africa. I didn't know this myself at the time, but it was in university that I got to know. So yes, yes, brother. So we this history has been hidden from us. I mean, when we went to school, we learned the geography and history of Europe and America and so on. When you look back, some of will say that we were abused. The education we were given was just child abuse. To give your children such education, to destroy them, is just unforgivable. In fact, we are told that was the reason the Soweto children went on strike. You know, that's if they wanted to give the West form of education to Soweto, to children in Soweto in South Africa, and they said no, we are not having this. So they went on the streets. When their parents came from home, their houses were on. Soweto was on fire. So yeah, so brother, I agree with you. I agree with you. We need this history. A lot of us don't even know this history. There's a brother from Ethiopia who have been trying to get the pigeon to also present to us what happened when the Pope declared. Brother Pigeon, what is that called? That declaration that said all Africa must be enslaved, every part of the world. What was the formal term for it? No,
The doctrine of discovery.
They what the doctrine, is that it?
The one I did a presentation on the
yes, that one.
Papa.
The Papa Bull is a doctrine of discovery, is that correct?
Yeah, it's the Papal Bull of 1452.
So that doctrine of discovery, 1452. Yes, Brother Pigeon has presented that to us. It's available on our YouTube channel. And when he did that presentation, there was a brother from Ethiopia who we've been trying to get to come and share with us another part of the deep knowledge that a lot of us don't have access to, which is that when that Papal Bull was enunciated, the king of Ethiopia was the king of kings and the lord of lords, so that the Pope had no right to make such a declaration to enslave the subjects, in quote, of the king of Ethiopia, because the Ethiopian monarch is higher than any European monarch, you see, because the monarchy precedes even the birth of Jesus. You see, very interesting history. And these are things we don't know about. And when you don't know, you don't know. And when you don't know what you don't know, it's even worse. You know, to know you don't know is better, but you don't know you don't know. That is just the worst form of ignorance. So we are still asking questions to Brother Raspala, who has just opened a small part of the history for us. That history that Nkrumah talked about is Constantism. That history is an instrument of ideology. And history has been used to destroy Africa. In fact, when I was in South Africa in 1996, I was in South Africa. Some of the things I heard from our brothers in South Africa was that they told us that we created nothing, that we Africans were nothing. We didn't contribute anything to civilization. In fact, they destroyed our people. No, they just destroyed Africans. And they lied and lied and lied. And so we are hearing some of the history for the first time, for some of us anyway, from Brother Raspala. Brother Pigeon, are you the one sharing the books? Because I know you've really dug up so many books for us. Is that from Raspala or yourself?
This Raspala's sharing, but as you said, we have a lot of books.
Raspala, you'll have to share these books with us through Brother Pigeon. Okay, so let's go to Brother. Is that Sister Fataya? Am I right, or is it Brother Fataya? It's hard to say some of these things, and we can't assume that somebody is a man or a woman based on the name. So, the Sister or Brother Fataya or Fathia, whichever. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Do you have a question for Brother Raspala? Thank you. You'll have to unmute yourself if you have a question from what you've heard. The history of the Dogon.
It sounds like Fatia.
Yeah, Fatia. Yeah, the history of the Dogon, the Ethiopia, the ancient Egypt, and yeah, and where we are right now. Okay, sister brother Fatia is not ready, so let's go to Sister Ida. Sister Ida doesn't like me to say this, but he's the reason we are having this
Then
Saturday.
don't say it.
She opened our eyes. You know, we used to, sometimes it's easy to think that just because you believe in something, that it's there for everyone to see. So because we are progressive Pan-Africanists, and we believe in the unification, development, and liberation of Africa, then sometimes we think that everybody else is talking about unification of Africa. Only to realize actually that is not the case. You have to talk about it for people to talk about it. So, sorry, Sister Ida, I keep saying this all the time. So, yeah, what's your question for Brother Raspala, Sister?
Brother Raspala, thank you very much indeed. I had heard of the Dogon people because I think they're I'd heard that there were a group of people who used to be asleep during the day so that their eyes could be acclimatized at night so that they could see the stars and they could see farther than our telescopes. That was the only thing I heard about them particularly. So I'm interested that you haven't really told us about this group who are actually still doing that, I think. But you've told us about these ancient people who I was going to say, ask if they were still alive. Then you told us, yes, there are some still alive. And Sirius and the planets are names that I've heard via these lot looking up at the stars. What question can I ask you? Can you tell us if you believe that the people up in the stars or up in the planets are still about? I know you've told us that people are still alive, but I think those are people on Earth. or are they still alive also up in the planets?
Yeah,
And
interesting
thank you for
question.
the bit
Yeah.
about the
So,
pyramids and stuff.
yeah. So, Brother Raspala, before you answer the question, let me just say that there's an African scholar in Southbank University in London who wrote the book When We Ruled. It's called Robin Walker. And he did a presentation in which he told the audience that when Napoleon Hill wrote his book, Think and Grow Rich, when he wrote that book, he had read some of the ancient works of the ancestors. Because I don't know if anyone here has read that book. I have, Think and Grow Rich. It turns out that in that book, it talks about how you can speak or contact the ancestors in that book. and I don't know if we all here know, but up to today, in the stool houses of Africa, they are still contacting our ancestors. We do not believe that our ancestors are dead. They are alive. And we believe that we can talk to them. And that is why I've made this point before. That is why when Einstein wrote the theory of relativity, and later on wrote the general theory of relativity. For those of you who don't know, Nkrumah has incorporated Einsteinian physics into conscientism. And he didn't say this, but I am saying this, that one of the reasons was that there are many reasons, but one of the reasons was that Einstein's theory of relativity, I don't know if you know, actually unifies time with space. So what it means is that the ancestors, even though they lived millions of years or thousands of years ago, they are still part of our current reality. So even though they may be dead, they are still alive. So you may think they are dead, and we can still talk to them, and so on. So it's very interesting that Brother Raspala said the ancestors are still alive. That is a position Brother Carrington is our physicist, so he may disagree or agree. But anyway, I just thought I'll mention that. The other thing also, I don't know if any of us here know that there's a group in Ghana called the Anglo people. Now the Anglo people, the word Anglo means writers or scribes, and they live in Keta or Keta in Ghana. And they believe that they came from ancient Egypt as well, Israel, and that they were the scribes. So those scribes in the Bible, the writers, that they were the scribes. So when they emigrated, they were those who did that group were the writers. So when the British established the capital initially, they established the capital of the Gold Coast in Qatar before they moved it to the Accra people, the Ghana people. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is that we have a rich history, and history that we are not using in order to liberate, unite, and develop ourselves. So back to the question that Sister Ida asked, Brother Raspala. Brother, you ready to answer the question now? Yeah. So was it Sister Ida? You're asking if they're alive, yeah?
No, because we've been told that they're alive,
Yeah,
but I
they're
think
alive.
he was telling us that it was here in on Earth. I
Yeah.
wanted to know about because he told us they came from the planets, and
Yeah,
did you tell us 2 planets? But anyhow, I wanted to know if they're still alive on those
they're alive.
planets, and is there civilization? Or let me expand it. Is there a civilization like the ancient civilization that was here on Earth, or
Yes.
could you tell us a bit more about what you think about the people away from Earth? Thank you.
Give thanks, Mama. It's always good to hear the voice of the African queens. Yeah. Okay. No, Mama Africa, ne? What's happening is that, I'll make just a typical example. If you can look at the deep symbology of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, even that great African mother in America called Dr. Frances Welsing, she explains this properly, that the Darth Vader, if you look at Darth Vader represents the patriarchal masculinity, the father. He's black, he's dark. And then Luke Skywalker is white, which represents the son, the created of the black father. And you can see the relationship of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, how that father and son relationship is unfolding. That is the same relationship we as the black man and the so-called white man have in society. We created the white man, he is our problem. And what we find out is that the white man, there's a few white people who ever left Earth and reached our home planet. And this information we find in the book of Enoch. In fact, Enoch himself is a hybrid human, just like the so-called Asians and white people. And we took Enoch, we took Elijah, we took Daniel, I think. Yeah, we took Ezekiel. These prophets of the Bible, they were taken by spaceships to our home planet. So it's something that's active. And to answer now your question directly, yes, there are many planets, in fact, but what we are sure about is our home planet as the Black people, which is planet Nibiru. That's what that planet is called. It's called planet Nibiru. There are still our relatives who are left in that planet. We Black people who are here on Earth are the ones who decided to be left behind after the flood. It was our conscious decision that made us to be left here on Earth after the flood of so-called Noah. And then the other Black people, they decided to go back home to our home planet. And then with the Watcher gods, which is the ones go Enki and them, Ptah and them, are the ones that are on the moon as we speak, who are watching over the Black people here on Earth, you see, as we speak, in their efforts to help us, you see, to be liberated, you see. Hence, we have these societies, Pan-African societies, all these things are orchestrated by our ancestors. Not spiritual beings, actual beings, flesh, blood, black skin, like us, who are breathing, not imaginary people, you see. Yes, they are still alive. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's interesting that in Ezekiel 28, chapter 28, where the Ancient of Days has woolly hair. And so the Bible itself is saying that God is black. Very interesting. And then Solomon in the Songs of Solomon says, I am black, I am dark and beautiful. So I have a pastor friend who who told me that all these prophets, David, they're all black, and we know that. And I asked him, so why don't you tell the people when you're on the pulpit? He said, well, brother, we can't tell them this. I said, why not? He said, well, we can't tell them that all these people, they are Abraham, Isaac, and so on. They're all black people. So a lot of the pastors they know these things, just as people like Napoleon and others have access to knowledge that they have hidden from the general population. In fact, Europe made a conscious decision through its Freemasonry to keep certain knowledge from the ordinary people and then to share only some knowledge with ordinary people. That's why some of this knowledge that Brother General is sharing with us. You can only have access to them if you are part of a secret society, as it were. Then they will show you these things. Otherwise, you will not hear of these things. One of our brothers shared with us a lot of knowledge over about five presentations. We have all that in our YouTube channel. It's all there, and he shared with us. Anyway, he shared with us how our leaders were part of an elite group where they wear these badges on their suits. You see it, and so on. Very interesting, and that they are the secret government, or the secret government running this planet, and so on and so forth. Anyway, brother Benaiah, I believe, brother Benaiah or sister Benaiah, please, you have your hand up. I believe you have a question for brother Raspala. Please proceed. Thank you.
Yes, peace. In the continent, great information, great class, and I was just confirming and listening to about the ingathering of what the people are and what we're doing. As you have spoken about the Anunnakis or the olden gods that were there, and you said that they came together and said, "Let us create man." Part of me said that you said it was down the Europeans, but I believe it's really us, because we have that state and those genes and the DNA of these Elohims that are linked into it. So as this has been passed off from 5,000, 10,000, 300,000, and I believe even further than that, the other groups of people like the Palladians and the Lunarians.
Sorry,
and other
brother.
tribes.
Hold on, brother Ben Naya. So just hold on. So from what you're saying, you don't have a question. You want to comment. Is that correct?
It was a statement, comment, and question.
Yeah, it's
So
fine.
bottom line, come down to it. If we know
No, hold on. It's fine if you want to comment. That's fine. What I would say, because of the time, let's proceed with you as our first commentator then. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
So in other words, from this point till the end, it's all commentary, because there are no further questions. And then Brother Pigeon will chair this part of the session. So Brother Benaiah, please continue, and Brother Pigeon will chair this part till the end. Thank you. Brother Pigeon, are you ready? Yeah, just give us a second. Brother Pigeon? All right, you continue whilst Brother Pigeon gets ready to chair this part of the session. Thank you.
Okay. Well, the quick question is, then I do a commentary, that with the great information that you gave us, General, and what was happening, was going on with us now in the diaspora and in the continent, what does it look like for us coming together? So is it first up to awaken the people with the knowledge, or actually becoming the powers that we are, the Elohims that's in our DNA? How do you see that coming together in the consciousness of our people that's here, that's melanated?
Give thanks, my brother. Give thanks for this wonderful question. Yeah. Can I answer?
It looks like Brother Pigeon is not ready to chair. So, all right, yes, please proceed, Raspala, and answer the question. Thank you.
Give thanks for the question, my brother. Okay, ne? What's happening is that, ne? What I can say to you now, I don't want to be too long, is that, like I exclaimed, ne? The Anunnaki, which is our ancient ancestors who built everything. I mean, even River Nile itself is not a natural river. You see, this river was built by Ptah, and some mountains are not natural. These mountains were built by our ancestors. So these people, they actually built everything. About the human DNA, it took the essence of a Homo erectus, which was found here in the African jungles by our Anunnaki ancestors when they landed with their ships here. They took the essence of the male of the African Homo erectus, and they put it inside the womb of the Anunnaki queen, you see. And then this admixture, which is the in vitro, as we call it today, resulted in the Homo sapien, you see, which is now the Asians and the white people we normally see today. These are clones of the Anunnaki, you see. Hence, they cannot have melanin or carbon as we know it, because they are clones, you see. That is the deep truth that most people would not like to hear, but that's the essence of it, you see. That's why they cannot stand the sunlight, which feeds us as the Black people. They have a high metabolism rate. They eat acidic foods, and we as the Black people can only survive on alkaline foods. That's why the Anunnaki are still alive, because they are eating the alkaline diet. And the reason we are dying is because we are eating food that is not food of the gods, not food of the Black people. So in that regard, my brother, we as the Africans, if you can check in the Bible, it's written, as I said, most the Bible is just a collection of ancient Egyptian books, you see, African books. So it even says that Jesus will be coming back with these hosts of heaven to come and collect the Black people from trouble. As ridiculous as that might sound, that is actually true. But now in the context of the Anunnaki are coming back to save us as Black people. And the only thing left to do, which is already started taking place, is spreading the word, which is the word of truth, you see, in all its forms. So this has already started taking place 2012. That's why that's why the Mayan calendar ends on 2012. That's why the CIA and the Hollywood made that movie 2012. You see? Because the white supremacy and the white elites or the shadow governments who rule the world knew that 2012 their power would end, because the Anunnaki, our Black ancestors, decreed that by 2012, which would mark the end of the age of Pisces, the two fish, and the dawning of the age of Aquarius, which is the age of truth, would have started by that year of 2012. And that's why since 2012, there's a lot of truth coming from all angles, internet, everything, you see. So it is the Anunnaki who is in control of what's happening on Earth, not the shadow governments. They make as if they are in control of the world when they are not. It is the Black gods who are in control of the world, you see. And we are about to find out that now in 2027 and in 2030, my brother. The only thing we need to do as Blacks is to do what we are doing now. Spread the word, organize and centralize ourselves, get ready for the coming of our ancestors. With spaceships, not with imaginary or flying with horses or whatever the Hollywood is trying to show. With advanced technology, spaceships, big spaceships, man. Yes, I thank you.
So if I'm correct, you're saying the best way to prepare ourselves is one is with our diet. And then the second portion of it, you talk about thought. Is also to be familiar with the emerald tablets and to start preparing ourselves with our makaba.
Exactly, my brother. You know this knowledge. Exactly.
Copy.
Yeah.
Thank you, General.
Yeah. So I mean, interestingly, alkaline foods are foods like leafy greens, cucumbers, nuts, seeds, and fruits, bananas, apples. Interesting. And acidic foods are meat and fish, dairy, vinegar, tomatoes, citrus fruits.
Yes,
And
yes, Father, exactly. Yes.
in Uganda, Rwanda, and in Ghana as well, a lot of greens are eaten. Spinach, stew with plantain, planting and so on. But anyway, interesting. thank you, brother, for your comment and your question. Let's now go to Sister Valerie. It's good to see you, Sister Valerie. We missed you. Comment, questions, whichever you like.
Is it me, Valerie?
Yes, it is you indeed.
Well, hello everybody. I'm kind of in and out, kind of dealing with a little situation.
Okay.
Comments or questions?
Yeah, it's up to
So
you.
for me, the information is interesting. Um, a lot of it kind of now being exposed. I've heard some a little of some things years ago, and so a lot of this is let's say I have to absorb some of the information. Um, Other than that, the history lesson is priceless. Is good to be exposed to information. And I think the saying, knowledge is power. I think if we don't ever go in deep and discover who we are and what we are about, we will never know that we great people and that we were put on this planet to achieve greatness. And so for that reason, I appreciate the knowledge that you're imparting. And it's our season and we have to go ahead and find out truth, however truth is presented. You have to research and make your own decision what you want to absorb, but knowledge is knowledge. So thank you.
Yes, so Valerie, it's interesting you say that some of these have been exposed in the past. So I read the African Origin of Civilization by Sheikh Anta Diop. Oh, how many years ago now? Probably about at least 20 years ago, and that's how long ago I read that. And at the time, that just shook me to the very foundation. And then when Wole Soyinka won his Nobel Prize, now since a long time ago, and that was around 1990 something, I think, 92 or so. And when he won the Nobel Prize, people were jubilating. And then another Nigerian brother, Dr. Chinwezu, wrote a pamphlet saying, "What is all this about? How come those of you who taught the white man how to read and write are those jubilating because he says one of yours has got a Nobel Prize?" And then he goes on and quotes other writers like Chinua Achebe, Opot Bitek of Uganda and so on, and said these ones are even greater artists than Wole Soyinka, and they will never get a Nobel Prize because of what they stand for. Then I got to know that Toni Morrison was inspired by Chinua Achebe. Can you imagine? The great Toni Morrison of America. So I hear you, brother, sister Vare, when you say that a lot of this has been exposed to you from in the past, and I share that with you as well. And then brother Benaiah, again, from what he has said, you can see he has a knowledge, and brother Raspala has confirmed that he has a knowledge. So no, that's great. It's good to hear that you've confirmed something. What I think we find is that our brothers and sisters on the continent are not as exposed as those in the diaspora. That's what I find, that they don't have access to this knowledge. So that is something we have to share with them. As I said, I was in South Africa in 1996, and what I heard, and I went to South Africa just after apartheid, and I went specifically to this university to lecture and to be part of, if you like, the Africans who were visiting to help our brothers and sisters to get to grips with all kinds of things. And it was founded by the World Bank at the time. Went there from School of Oriental and African Studies. And to hear what our brothers and sisters were saying in South Africa at the time was really, really frightening. Some of the things I heard, some of us have never experienced that in real life, But anyway, so yeah, Sister Valerie, thank you for recalling that some of this has been exposed to us and we are aware of it. But what it means is that, Brother Raspala, you need to get ready to do a presentation on history, not ever sort of maybe once a month. You do a presentation on African history for us, because when we get to chapter 3 of Constantism, we will see that history is an important instrument of ideology, and the history was used to damage Africans. You know, they even said we were subhuman. Can you imagine those who made them? To call your mother a subhuman, I mean, that's how serious it is. Very serious. And one of the fights between Marcus Garvey and Dr. Du Bois was also around this issue of the status of the Black woman. I don't know if we are all aware of that, but in America in those days, the what we call the mixed race today, well, we don't call the mixed race today, but they were called the mixed race in the past. They were closer to the whites because of their skin color, and they used to introduce their mothers who were Black as servants when their white friends visited them. That is how demeaning they treated our Black mothers. And as you know, Marcus Garvey is dark, like me. and Dr. Du Bois is light-skinned. So they called Marcus Garvey ugly African, and it was terrible. That fight was terrible, and that exchange was ferocious. A lot of us don't know these things now, and the point I'm making is that this history has not been shared with a lot of Africans on the continent, and that is something we need to do. So hopefully we'll start to share as we'll once a month, maybe we do a session on history, on where we've come from, as far back as the beginning of creation, if you like. So, as Savannah, you've ignited something in me there. Thank you so much. As I said before, I didn't know I was a Black man until I came to England. It was in England I realized for the first time that I was a Black man. You know, back home, we know we are Africans. We are the Black people. In my language, we call ourselves the Black people. The Akans say the same. The Gans say the same. And I asked Brother Pigeon, and he said in his language, it's the same. We call ourselves the Black people, you know. And so that's how we are not conscious of it. But when you come to the West, whether it's France, England, America, then you know you are really a Black person, because they make you understand that you are Black through all kinds of institutions. Selwyn Huck, do you have a comment or a question? So our brothers, Windhoek is in Namibia. So Windhoek,
Greetings.
Greetings. Question, comment, the floor is yours.
This is eye-opening. It's very deep. We are living a life that we do not know where we come from. And this type of lectures will really enlighten us and make us realize who we really are, what our actual worth is, that we made the whole world, we've populated the whole world. And these lectures must not stop. At least 2 times in a month, we must be able to touch on our original history. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie of Nigeria. Who also said that she didn't know she was Black until she went to America. Very, very interesting. Just my experience as well. Anyway, yeah, Chimamanda, as you know, is also Igbo, and she basically has inherited, if you like, she's continued the work of Chinua Achebe, while Toni Morrison is doing that.
Brother Kwame.
Yes, Brother Pigeon.
Yeah, we also have our with us.
Yeah. Go on,
you have
brother.
the book. Yes, yes. We have the books of Chimamanda also with us. I think our library is growing well because we also have the book of the civilization you talked about.
Mm.
And I think I do appreciate the aspect of us looking at various elements of our history, including our historical aspect. It's also touched on our spirituality a bit, what Brother Raspal is also speaking about.
Mm.
And this information, as I've said, I think it's very important to know where we are heading as a people, because they have confused our history. So to get the real history, that's why I think it's who there's somebody who said that this. I think it's Patrice Lumumba that the history of Africa will be written, and it will be written by Africans, not written by some people for Africans. And you see when they talk even the destruction of our black civilization, they actually destroy our civilization basically by trying to persuade a lot. And this is an element of also now putting more superiority or inferiority on us and starting to think that we are limited. Actually, we are not limited to anything else. We are only limited to where our mental capacity can reach. But we have not exploited the full potential of what we are or who we are. And that also only come in. I looked at even this guy, the Dogon. I looked at how they talk about the origin of the universe. They talk of matter. And you see, it's very interesting when you go through how they analyze the matter thing. It's equivalent to what we've been talking about. So I think it's very important, and I know maybe Kwame had this text with him, so that he was exposed to all these things. So I think consciousness then is a fine tune of everything else. The best research that can be.
Brother Pigeon, you've hit the nail on the head.
All this, if you look how it.
Conscience system is just, I mean, you remember when Brother Raspala joined us, he said, he confirmed, he said, you are reading the right book when it comes to philosophy. Brother Raspala, who presented today, confirmed that. So he confirmed that we were on the right track. You know, now interestingly, Brother Pigeon, the notion, Sister Shaz, I'll call you in a moment. Yeah, interestingly, Brother Pigeon, I don't know if you know, but I was born in Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana. So what it means is that when some of us were born in an environment where that whole spirit of liberation, the black man asserts himself, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs, Kwame Nkrumah, showboy. There was even a song like he he has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the redeemer and the champion of liberty and human equality. Let's salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah. I mean, this is the song that we grew up with, and so when I was very little, I did not understand what inferiority meant. You see, and I remember an older gentleman making the comment that black man, black sense, white man, white sense, and I didn't understand what he was talking about because I and a number of other Africans were never brought up on a diet of inferiority. Never. And the primary school I attended was founded by a British white lady. So I went to a private school, private primary school. And that was set up by a British white lady in Ghana at the time. So we were never brought up on a diet of inferiority. We were never brought up on the idea that we were less than human, that we were nobody, and that we didn't have access to all that nonsense, in quote. So when I say, for instance, that it was in England that I realized I was black, what I mean is that I just could not grasp the idea that somebody can be inferior, Brother Pigeon, based on his skin color or her skin color. That idea is foreign to some of us, and we have never believed it. We have never internalized it. So when we speak and express ourselves, some people get uncomfortable because we are too confident of who we are and what we are. I don't know if I'm making sense. So when I went to South Africa in '96, and then I heard some of the things I heard, because people were inferiorized. You see, so then they felt that they were nothing. And you are something. You are the creators of the universe. You are, you are the makers of the human race. You are, you are, and we are because you are, and they are because we are, and it's just amazing. Anyway, Sister Shaza, come in, please. So, Brother Fijin, thank you so much for that. And it's good you're also then putting together all the libraries for us, so that when we do the presentation on history by general, then we can direct people to the books and say, these are the books we want you to read. Yeah, the Anunnaki Chronicles. They never told us about these books. They never told us. They lied to us. Sister Shaza, the floor is yours.
Yeah, yeah, greetings all.
Greetings.
Yeah, unfortunately I missed most of the presentation. But there's a couple of questions I wanted to ask. First of all, when will we have access to the recording of this session?
I think the Brother Pigeon can answer that. Yes, Brother Pigeon. I think Brother Pigeon is busy in the background, so he will answer in a moment.
Okay.
What question?
Yeah, the second question is, the brother who did the presentation, he mentioned that the black
Sister
people
Shaza, you know him. It's Brother Raspala, General Nuki.
Sorry?
You know him. It's Brother Raspala of South
Oh,
Africa.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of the people, the black people who are on the planet, on that planet? What was the name of them? I only caught the little bit. Is it Anna something or other?
Yeah. Raspala?
Yes, give thanks from Africa. The name Anunnaki is a name that means children of Anu. Anu is this man you see in the middle here with the big hair and the crown. He is basically the primordial ancestor of all black people, Anu. When we in our home planet, we are Nibiruans. Nibiruans, because our home planet's name is Nibiru. But when we come here to planet Earth, we are known as the Anunnaki. Thank you.
Thank you. And the final question I would like to ask is, when are they coming back to Earth to rid us of these Mzungus?
Hey, Mama, some they say 6 years, some they say 4 years from now. We don't know, but what we know is that it's very soon. That's what we show about.
Right. And will they be coming in peace, or they're coming with fire and brimstone?
Fire and brimstone. But now the thing is not for us, the black people, for the oppressors of humanity.
Right. Okay. That's good to hear.
Your first question, Brother Pigeon will answer your first question. Brother Pigeon, when will the recording be available? Brother Pigeon? Okay, maybe he's tied up. So normally, Sister Shaza is available a day after the session.
Okay. Thanks.
Normally, yeah, it'll be on our YouTube channel. Once he comes back, he will put the link again in the chat. So thank you very much. Right. So Brother Carrington, comments please. So Brother Carrington is our physicist. We love him so much. When we have arguments about physics, he is the one that corrects us. Brother Carrington.
Yes, but as usual,
What do you make of this physics you just heard today? I don't know if you heard all of it. I am personally baffled. I don't know a lot about it, so I don't make negative comments about things I don't know. Because when you don't know what you don't know, you better be quiet and listen. So anyway, but what do you make of the physics you've had?
So yes,
by the way, please make whatever comment you like. It's up to you. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brother Christian. Thank you very much, Brother Raspala. Yes, I'm coming at this as Brother Christian has said, from an astronomy point of view, um, trying to understand a lot of things about our culture. I will concentrate on the places where I feel there's a lot of intersection, because there's a lot of convergent interest that we have. Brother Christian, you have just spoken about mathematics. There's a book called, I will type it in, Brother Pigeon can maybe help us look for it, called African Fractals, written by I think a European academic or something like that, about his travels around the continent, trying to learn mathematics essentially from
Yes, yes. So,
old
but
communities, old African communities, right? So there's a
yes, I
sense.
think,
Mm,
Brother Carrington, I think you're
yes,
referring to the book by Ron Iglash. Yeah, the
yes, that's
African
correct.
Fractals. Ron
Yes,
English, yes. Ron
Ron
English.
English, yes, yes.
Mm.
So the sense in which there is an indigenous knowledge in Africa that modern science is disconnected from, or in the business case, uh, pharmaceutical companies are taking advantage of, is true. And we have discussed this a lot. I am very interested in astronomy. In fact, my first degree was in astronomy and astrophysics. So in class, I will just confess to you, brothers and sisters, that we spent roughly 3 hours or 4 hours discussing traditional astronomy. And most of it was, in any case, Greek and Roman astronomy. So there's a serious, I feel, education shortfall. And this falls into the question that I'm about to ask. What can we do to improve our understanding of scientific, astronomical, and architectural capabilities of our ancestors? There are a lot of Facebook pictures showing the great temples of, I don't know, Europe, and then comparing that with the average African round hut, as if that is the only thing our ancestors built. Of course, this is coming from ignorant people who do not understand history, and they should not be blamed. The poor education system in Europe should be blamed for that. But what can we do for ourselves, Africans, to improve our education, our understanding of the capacities that our ancestors had? And second question, I have been noticing that in Kenya especially, I don't know whether this is true for Southern Africa, but I think it is true for East Africa, that the Nilotic communities, the communities which derive from the River Nile and Southern Egypt and Northern Sudan, are the ones most proficient in astronomy, right? We spent, when I was in Kenya, the last time I was in Kenya for a long time, just after my undergraduate, we spent 3 days talking to the Maasais and the Samburus about their astronomical knowledge, trying to document it as much as possible. What can we do here? What else can we do here? And have you noticed that difference, that regions which are cultures which are more nomadic tend to be better at astronomy? And what could be your reason for that, if you agree? Thank you very much, and sorry for long questions.
Mm. Brother Ross?
Hey, brother, can you please simplify your questions? You know your mind capacity.
Brother Carrington, so your question is, how can we, so Brother Ross,
So the
Brother
first
Carrington is saying, how do you think we can learn more about
education.
yes,
Just
education?
in addition to that, Brother Christian, even informal education, so getting it in through the school system, so that uh, kids in Africa can grow up knowing that their ancestors also
Mm.
did science and technology and astronomy. How can we do this? What can we do here? Yes.
Right. Okay. Brother Aspar, do you have an answer to that?
Yes, I can answer that question. Okay, to be quite frank with you, the black people, especially the black elites, because you need to understand that these so-called American recessions that we were talking about in history are basically when the white people got tired of the black executives who were too intelligent, who would take over. And then they decided they would push them out of the parliaments by force, push them out of the Black Wall Streets by force, push them out of the suburbs and CBD areas by force, and they would have to start over again. So basically what I'm trying to say is that many blacks have tried to formalize this African knowledge, the true history of the black people, but the CIA have killed and sabotaged many of the black people. So honestly, to say to you, I don't know how we will be able to achieve that. Because let me make an example. We had an online class about this. You know what happened? There's this guy called what's his name? Ellen something, but he's the only white student. I'm gonna send his name on the CSG group later after this meeting. He's the only white dude who talks about the Anunnaki, the aliens, and everything in an academic platforms. And he also started formal schools about these aliens. So we had an opportunity to interview this guy, and he agreed. So because we wanted to confirm, because we wanted to debate him, because he said that the Anunnakis are aliens, reptilians, insectoids, and reptilians, all that nonsense. And then we wanted to refute that no, that these aliens talking about is actually our black ancestors, the origins. As we had that meeting was stopped. First it was hacked, and then it was stopped, and then the account was deleted and blocked by YouTube. Till today, you cannot have that account. So if YouTube can deem information that the black Anunnaki are black people from out of Earth and block our channels, I don't know how we're gonna make it for man. I really don't know. Bless it.
Brother Carrington, you've heard it. To be hard, but anyway. Thank you. Was there a second question, Brother Carrington?
Yeah, the second question, yeah.
Brother Carrington, the second
Yes.
question was
So
whether nomadic,
yes,
whether nomadic people are
settled,
more astrological or astronomical than non-nomadic people.
Yeah.
Okay. When we're talking about African society or African culture in its purest form, we're talking about people of the future. If you know that movie Wakanda, yeah, that is almost similar to what the original African culture is. So African culture, we have nomadic people, we have non-nomadic people, people who are free to do whatever they wanted. They could live in the cities, mega cities built by the black people, or they could live in the jungles, or where in the ocean, wherever they, or in the skies, wherever they wanted to stay. But the fact of the matter is that there is a central structure whereby again there is this father, the all father, which is Anu, and then there is the Lord of the sky god Enlil, and then there is the god who was in charge of the mines in South Africa and the other in the other regions. You see, so there is a structure that is active. You see, it's not like it's the African clans, African ethnicities, the African tribes, and then the structure is finished. No, there's still a hierarchy going. Okay, after the African clans, we go to whose son, from which god. And then from that god, we go, okay, that god goes to Enki or it goes to Enlil. And then if it from Enlil or Enki, it goes back to Anu. You understand? So in the African societies, there is no difference in knowledge. The universities were there in the mega cities, which is the places in Egypt, Kemet, and all these places. And then if you as the clan or a certain group of people decided you wanted to learn this certain skill or this certain knowledge or trade, you would go to the mega cities, learn, and then you could do whatever you wanted to do, so long as you do not break the divine laws. You understand? Which were the laws that some of them, they put them in Egypt, which is called the laws of Ma'at, the 42 laws of Ma'at. Some they call it like that. So stuff like that. Yes, thank you.
And interestingly, the word Ma'at is said to be the origin of mathematics. That the word Ma'at is actually, those are actually mathematical laws. Interesting. It's 5 minutes to 8 o'clock. So we've got 5 minutes to the end of the session. Some of you haven't spoken. I haven't had a chance to ask questions or to comment. Just so you know, we'll have future sessions on the African history, and where you can participate and share and ask questions and so on. So we have come to the end of today's session, and the last 5 minutes will be used to make announcements and what's ahead of us by Brother Pigeon. So Brother Pigeon, if you are there, Brother Raspala, are you still the man sharing the pages?
Oh, that was me.
It's not me.
That was you. Okay. Is that the book from the Anunnaki book, Brother Pigeon?
No, that is
the one you shared.
That's a publication on the history by somebody else, but I also have the book.
Oh, okay. I know you shared the book with us, didn't you? You shared the book in the library. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was one of the books. In fact, on Dogon, there are 6 books. So I can be able to share all of them for those who will be interested. But that's one of the books. So this is actually a publication that I came across. I also have the link to that publication that speaks briefly on the Dogon history.
Okay. I don't know if you heard, but Sister Shaza wanted to know when this publication will be available.
Okay, for the recording of today, I always do it latest Tuesday, and I always share the link. So I can add Sister Shaza to our broadcast list if she's not, where she can get update on the link when it's ready or not, because I have her contact.
Okay, good. Please, the announcements, we've got 3 minutes left, and then if you can close the meeting, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brother Kwame, for chairing this meeting, and thank you, Raspala, for finally agreeing to do the presentation. It's indeed worth, and I think it was just waiting for its right time. But as from the conversation here, it's actually opening up a startup for something. It's not actually the end in its own. It's a beginning of another exploration that we have to consider, and I think Brother Kwame has accepted this, that we need to look at our history as well, which we will now bring together also, if possible, in our aspect. We realize economics is important, so we brought our economics as well, and now we're realizing also history is very important, and history make us be more conscious of who we are. So it's like open up our mind. So we also bring this history, and we've been doing also our politics, and Brother Carrington has also been very good on the IT. We didn't know he was good in IT, so also the technology aspect is still playing a good role here. So to see how we balance all these things to ensure that every Saturday we give you an informative session where you actually walk out and feel like that's really something I couldn't get anywhere else, but you'll get it here. So yes, once again, I'll say that we have actually opened a library, and I don't know how Brother Carrington is knowing the library, but I'll try to. You've seen our library in our group, so we'll add you to the library. We have over 147 books so far, and I do actually upload 20 books per day. So we are trying to build a proper library for where our people can actually be part of the conversation and learn more. So feel free to text me to be part of the library so that you can get these free copies for free. And we'll be reviewing some of those books, Brother Kwame, especially some of the writings also from various people like Chinua Achebe and other books that we have. Today's Saturday, so on Tuesday we are having Kiswahili class, a continuation. We have 2 classes. We have one classes for the beginners that's starting from 6 p.m. GMT. And there's the second class for the people who are continuing our lessons that start at 6:45 GMT. We do share the links, and the recordings are also available on our YouTube channel. On Thursday, we will be moving ahead with a very interesting conversation that you should not be missing, the Aristotle's thing. We realized Aristotle was a thief, and a serious thief, but we are having that in our consciousness study group, where we read the Nkrumah's philosophy. As you know, it's probably all the knowledge we're exposing ourselves today, Nkrumah took time to be exposed to them. And when he came up to write consciousness, you can tell, if you can join that class, that he was aware of most of the knowledge you are exposing ourselves to, and then he packed for us something that's final, that's African. So feel most welcome to our Thursday classes. I'll also be sharing the links most of the time in our broadcast list. And next Saturday, we will also see what will be coming up. So we'll share the next Saturday topic by the mid of the week. Having said that, I really want to thank you all for what you're doing and the direction we are taking. And yes, we are going daily by daily. We're expanding our wings as CSG. We are looking forward to work with so many people. We want to be the philosophical and ideological arm in this struggle for Pan-African liberation, unification, and development. And we are pleased to do that. We have the professors of consciousness here with us, and the rest of you, we really appreciate your attendance. So without much ado, Brother Kwame, permit me to say thanks to everybody who has joined us, and may we bring this meeting to an end here. Good evening to you all.